Hi friends, this is Krishna Naidu. I am from India. I have been working into supply chain since last 20 years in various fields of supply chain. Uh, One of the area is supply chain risk management, where I have developed the supply chain risk management products. So the products means the software products, as well as have done research on this field in how to apply the various statistical and analytical algorithms in order to do the calculations. Uh, So this was a very interesting research which I have done, and I will not be able to talk too much on the research topic, but we will do some kind of discussion on supply chain risk management in the pharma industry on this particular video. So the reason why I have decided to do this video on supply chain risk management is one of my friend from Pakistan. Her name is Amma Ahmed. She is doing research on supply chain risk management in the pharma industry. So we will be helping her in answering her questions. So she has 3 questions. So we will be answering those 3 questions, as well as we'll discuss some other parts of the supply chain risk management in this video. So I will like to move towards my the presentation, which will be used over here for the discussion. And later on, at the end of the session, we will be answering few of the questions of Ms. Amma Ahmed from Pakistan, who is a researcher and a student of supply chain in Pakistan. So let's move towards the presentation. Okay, guys. So we have to understand. I hope you are able to see this the screen the presentation here. So the objective of supply chain risk management is to create resilience in the organization. So if you want to ask me to define resilience, the resilience is the time of recovery between the risk event occurrence to the recovery from the risk event. Okay, the time gap between the risk event and the recovery from the risk event, the time gap. The time gap is called resilience. So lower the time gap, higher the resilience. Higher the time gap, lower the resilience. And there is no recovery, there is no resilience, right? So let's have this KPI in the mind. The time gap between the risk event occurrence and the recovery. So lower the time gap, higher the resilience of the organization, and higher the time gap, lower the resilience of the organization. And if there is no recovery, it means the organization is having very poor resilience or no resilience at all. It means organization is not prepared for risk management. Okay, so how to create that resilience within an organization is a step-by-step process. So let's see what is that step-by-step process of risk management. So anything, let me say, let's first define what is risk. Okay, suppose a flood occurring at my city may not damage the business at Pakistan, city of Lahore, because there is no connection between the flood occurring at my city at Mumbai and the business having any loss in Lahore, right? So there is no connection between that. So, but the flood occurring in my city might create risk to the businesses existing in my city, right? So the flood is a risk, but it is a risk to the business where the flood is occurring, not where the flood is not occurring, right? So we have to understand a flood or an earthquake or any other strike or political instability or war, right? Are those events is going to impact businesses in your city or in your factory? The first thing we have to understand. So event is a risk or event is not a risk. It depends upon whether that event impacts you negatively or not, right? So the risk initiation. So we have to put our analysis on risk initiation on this particular point, whether an event which is occurring at some point or some place is going to affect our business or not. That is called risk initiation. That is what understanding we have to apply there. Then is risk detection. So how it is going to impact the business, right? Whether it's going to impact the warehouse, whether it's going to impact the retailers, whether it's going to impact the transportation, whether it's going to impact the production. So that is called the risk detection. And the location of the the event or the risk event. So whether this particular risk is occurring at Mumbai or Hyderabad or Chennai or US, where that particular risk is happening. So there are some businesses which are having global locations or global presence. So those people, those companies will have a global presence or national presence. They have to do this risk detection at a very sophisticated level, right? Because they have multiple they have presence in multiple places, and when they have presence in multiple places, it is going to impact at any zone. So they have to do risk detection in a very sophisticated level in order to evade from the risk. The third step is risk assessment. Okay, what is the quantification? How much now we have to quantify the risk? The quantification comes into two levels. One is the probability. What is the probability of risk? Is it 10% or 50% or 70% or 80%? The closer to 100%, the risk is higher. Closer to 0%, the risk is lower. Right? The second aspect is quantum of the impact. So the quantum of the impact means what is the revenue impact, what is the cost impact, what is the profit margin impact, right? So we have a matrix here. The matrix is between the risk probability and the quantum, right? So the higher the risk, lower the quantum. There is one quadrant. Higher the risk, higher the quantum. Second quantum, second quantum. Lower the risk, lower the quantum. There is the third one. And lower the risk and higher the quantum. That's a fourth one. So the quantum of risk is very important to understand, and it has to be clubbed with the probability of risk. That is called the risk assessment, right? So once you have the risk assessment, now we have to do the risk mitigation. So why risk assessment is important is because we have to prepare the relevancy or the prioritization. So based upon the quantum, we have four quantums. Based upon the quantums, we have to create the prioritization. And after the prioritization, we have to apply the risk mitigation based upon the risk prioritization. So then what is risk mitigation? Risk mitigation is all about applying the solutions, right? So what kind of solutions you want to apply? So the solutions are categorized into 3 or 4 levels. Whether you want to transfer the risk, whether you want to solve the risk, whether you want to avoid the risk, right? Whether you want to postpone the risk. So there's the 4 categories are there. So on the base of the 4 categories, you are going to create some solutions, and those solutions are called risk mitigation, right? So once you apply the risk mitigation based upon your categorization, you will have the recovery. So what is the recovery level? What is the time gap level? What is the recovery in terms of the quantum of revenue or the cost impact or revenue impact or the profit margin impact? So how much recovery you have done? So recovery again is measured in terms of 2 KPIs. One is the time, and second is the money, right? So how much recovery you have been able to do? Okay, and this recovery is defined as resilience. So you have to plan your entire risk management process in this particular level. That is risk initiation, risk detection, risk assessment, risk mitigation, recovery, and resilience. Okay. So this is all about the risk management process, which I wanted to discuss. So the most important thing you have to define, you have to keep in mind is, so the risk to recovery level is called resilience, and the time gap and the money, the loss recovery. Okay, the time recovery and the loss recovery. These are two important KPIs which you actually try to measure in the recovery and the resilience aspect. Right? If you have any questions, you can write to us on krish@mathil.com, or you can also mention your comments on the YouTube page. We'll be answering that. So let's move on to our next slide. So this is what the pattern is: recovery and resilience, which I have just discussed. So, as we all know, Supply chain is not run by one partner. It is run by multiple partners, right? So if you see, there is a, we have defined some levels over here. So there are 8 levels in this diagram. There are 8 levels are there. So there are 8 partners we have defined. So the first level 1 is called the vendors, the various vendors. Level 2 are the inbound delivery partners, so the transporters which actually ship the material from the vendor to the manufacturer or to the retailer, right? And the third level is the retailer. Fourth level is the warehouses. Fifth level is the outbound delivery partner, and sixth level is the customer, right? And seventh level is the banks, and eighth level is the server. So we have actually taken a case study of 8 levels of supply chain. So these 8 levels will have to work together in supply chain and also in supply chain risk management process, right? So we have to always understand that in any, whether it's any supply chain, whether it's a pharmaceutical supply chain or a manufacturing supply chain or e-commerce supply chain, it is not run by one partner, it is run by multiple partners, right? So risk may come from any of the partners. So the risk detection or a supply chain risk management should be a holistic process. It should not be a one-level process. It should be like we have 8 levels over here. So supply chain risk management has to be 8-level process. Okay, the holistic process. So if you are working on supply chain risk management, you have to think that it is a holistic process. It's not a one-level process. It is a multiple level process. That is one thing we have to keep in mind. So now supply chain risk management, it's like we have in supply chain management. We define supply chain management or we track supply chain management performance using some KPIs, right? So we will track the same thing, the same KPIs, or the 3 top level KPIs in supply chain risk management also. And they are the quality, cost, and delivery. Quality, cost, and delivery. It's called QCD or somewhere it's called QDC. Q for quality, D for delivery, C for cost. So QDC, quality, delivery, and cost. So which particular events or which particular events will actually contribute to the quality risk, which particular events will contribute to delivery risk, which particular events will contribute to cost risk, right? So this is what we have to, actually think. So we have to segregate all our events which are happening within the supply chain into these 3 particular levels. There will be some events which will be impacting 2 of the, like quality and delivery as well. Some of the events which will be impacting quality, delivery, and cost. All 3 particular KPIs, right? So it is not necessary that one event will impact one particular KPI. It is possible that all our events can actually impact all the KPIs. Okay. So the first thing is we have to define the scope of level. So what is the level of the supply chain where this event is coming from or is going to impact? So suppose the event is originating from vendor level. So if the event is coming from the vendor level, it is going to impact the entire supply chain. So where we have to actually solve the problem. So the root area is the vendor level. If you can solve the problem at the root level, so those risks will not appear again from the vendor level, right? So that is what we have to work. So we have to understand that at which particular level the risk is actually originating from. And what are those activities which are actually creating those risks? Okay. The second is called the risk detection. What are those activities which are actually originating from that particular level and is going to impact a particular KPI or group of KPIs? Okay. So what are those KPIs? We have to define top level KPIs, and we have to break the top level KPIs again into a small level KPIs. Okay. Now, and then we will create a contingency table That is actually a process. That's a statistical process, uh, which will help us to define the risk and the KPI. This particular table is there is actually drawn between the risk and the KPI, and it will have the frequencies. So we will not discuss the contingency table over here. So this is part of the training program. If you want to learn supply chain risk management in detail, you can actually join our program. We'll help you explain all those statistical process of computation of supply chain risk management. Okay. So now we have to understand, we have to enumerate the KPI impact. Then you have to suggest possible mitigations, make the recovery levels gain from each mitigation solutions, decide the best mitigation, apply the mitigation, and record the experience as data in the data table. So it's not necessary that the mitigation which you are applying is the best mitigation, right? So by experience, by experimentation, you will learn that for the same particular problem, you have applied three mitigations, and the third mitigation might be the best, or second mitigation might be the best, or the first mitigation might be the best. Okay, that is called supply chain risk analytics process. Okay. So this is what the the continuous table which I was talking about. So we have uh, drawn a table between the delivery lead time and the the order cancellation. Okay. So these are all the continuous tables which we have drawn, and from those tables we have worked out and we have created. This is also one of the tables. So this is what we have used to calculate the risk probability. And from this risk probability matrix, we also have calculated the quantum of impact in terms of the money. Okay, then we have combined those two metrics. Okay? The first metric is the probability of risk. I will just write down here. And quantum of impact in terms of money. So these are the two metrics which we have to combine together and define the come up with the risk assessment. So higher the impact using these two metrics means that has to be prioritized in order to mitigate, right? So you have to plan which particular risk have to be first mitigated. So that mitigation, that prioritization of mitigation will come from these two KPIs. So this is what I have. This is what I have shown the entire process for how to compute the probability of risk and how to define the quantum of impact in terms of money, right? So let's move on to the questions. Audit, right? So guys, I would like to end my discussion over here. And if you have any questions, you can ask to me on the YouTube comment box, or you can also write an email to me at krish@mathnal.com. And I will also request everyone to subscribe the channel. And the channel name is SCM Radio M. This is a YouTube channel, right? So the purpose of this channel is to bring a lot of content on supply chain and economics. So if you subscribe the channel, you will receive plenty of interesting content on supply chain and economics, which will be enhancing your knowledge. Okay, guys. So look forward to have your subscription, and we'll meet very soon with our new video. Thank you very much.